Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. My name is Stefania. I'm here today on behalf of TouchLink. TouchLink, it's a domestic violence. It's an organization for domestic victim of domestic violence. And we here today. This year is our seventh annual work. So every year we have a annual work, but of course because of COVID, we couldn't do it last year in person, so we had to do it virtually. And so, what TouchLink is all about is about providing advocacy, support, all kind of support to men and women, and especially women that are victim of domestic violence. So we provide that's the meaning of this meeting tonight. We're gonna talk about finance, and of course also it's very very important that we need all the support, financial support that you could provide. The reason why it's through this financial support that we're able to help the victim of domestic violence. So we have special people that are in the field, like we have different doctors, therapists. Not only the domestic violence affect the woman or the man, but also the children. So we provide all kind of support and shelter, food, you name it, lawyers, you name it, we have it here at Touchlink. And we encourage you to donate or go to the website www.touchlink.org. Thank you.
At this time, we have a video that we're going to share with everyone.
I work to support the victims and survivors of domestic violence. I work because I remember over 26 years ago, I was on that street of Newark with nowhere to go, with no one to call. I work to support victims and survivors of domestic violence. I work to save life. I work because I want to be the light in the darkness, the hope for the hopeless. Yes, I want to be that dream. I work because I want to put an end to domestic violence. For the last 6 years, TouchLink has been supporting, empowering, and uplifting victims of domestic violence. So I'm calling everyone to join us at TouchLink, to be the hope for the hopeless, to be the light in the darkness, to be the answer to that woman that is crying, to be the shoulder to wipe away their tears, to counsel. That's what TouchLink has been doing. Triaging the cases, counseling the victims and survivors and their children of domestic violence, giving them hope, helping them. This time around, I'm saying let's do it together. Together we can be the hope in the darkness. Together we can be the light around us. Together we can be that village of support. So I'm calling you, let's come together and help and put an end to this pandemic. Yes, domestic violence is a pandemic. Let's end it. Let's put that family together. Let's put that mother and child together. Let's help them. This is why we are working. We are working to put an end to this darkness. My name is Yewande Efodili. I'm the president and founder of TouchLink, a non-profit organization that supports, empower, and uplifts the victims and survivors of domestic violence. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I hope like you had enjoyed the video, because it says so much about the organization. It says so much about TouchLink. So no further ado, I'm gonna go quickly introduce our speaker for tonight. So as you all know, again tonight, it's financial freedom from domestic violence. And we have our dear Dolapo Adedeji. She's a current director of internal audit and financial advisory for management consulting firm. She is a certified internal auditor and a certified anti-money laundering specialist with over 18 years of professional and consulting experience. So we're gonna hear some good stuff tonight. I'm so ready. To her years of experience, Dolapo had the privilege to work for top bank and serve Fortune 500 companies in providing various types of financial advisory services. Dolapo is married with two kids. She's passionate about her family, reading, listening to podcasts, and building financial wealth, which we're gonna do tonight. To serve a community, Dolapo served in the True Wealth Ministry for Agape House of Worship. So let's get her pen, get her notepad, because she's gonna load us with a lot of information, especially when you come from that place where you lose everything and you don't know. We probably, some of the women are not probably the one doing the finances, taking care of the finances, and you don't know what to do. So Mrs. Dolape tonight is gonna share the light with us about the financial from domestic violence. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Oh, yes, we can.
Awesome. Well, first of all, Sister Stefania, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. That was very kind of you. I'd like to just give a very warm shout out to Deaconess You One Day for what you do. That video was very moving and touching. And what you do, I pray God will bless you, because this is not ordinary. It takes a special soul to do what you're doing, and I appreciate you. And to the TouchLink community, everyone that is on here, thank you for the support. For those that TouchLink is impacting your life, we thank God for this kind of organization. So overall, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to be here. I'm truly honored. Thank you for having me. So with that said, I'll just quickly introduce myself. I know you've done a fantastic job, but I want to start. But before I do that, I'm going to share my screen, and I want you guys to tell me if you can see my screen. So that'll be our first test. So if you can see my screen, I want you to put in the chat, yes, yes, yes. Okay, I'm going to do that right now. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Can you? Okay. If I'm looking to the side, it's because I have two screens, so I'm going to be going back and forth. But if you guys can see my screen, I just want you to put a yes. Let me know. I think Stefania, you can. I just want to make sure everyone else can. Awesome. Thank you, guys. So I just want to say this is going to be very, very. I want us to kind of all, engage. So this is not. I don't want it to be one-sided. So at some point, I'm going to be asking questions. And I want you guys to just let me know. I want you guys to communicate, because it's 8 o'clock at night. I understand, but we got this, right? So with that said, my name is Dolapo Adedeji. I like Stefania said, I'm married to an amazing, amazing man of God, Adedeji, and I have two amazing, beautiful kids. My son is going to be 14 in a few months. I can't believe I'm going to have a 14 years old teenager. Wow. And my daughter is 9. So with that said, I know a lot of people have asked me as I've started this whole journey, my passion for financial freedom. Why financial freedom, and why do I do what I do? So essentially, while I do work in the banking industry, I do understand a lot of the products. I audit a lot of the companies. I understand how a lot of it works. But how do you know that? How many of you know that sometimes, even though you're working hard, you understand how it works, sometimes we don't translate that in our personal finances? If you do, please just put your hands up, the emoticon, or say yes in the chat. Remember, I said this is going to be engaging? Yes. There you go, Tiffany. She's like, So I'm going to go ahead and talk about my journey. And guys, I'm going to try here. If I skip too fast, I'll let you guys know. So essentially, there we go. Essentially, my story is pretty much it started out years ago, about maybe 7 or so years ago. That's when my journey towards financial freedom started. And it started after I had my second kid. And some of you may have heard this before. And we looked at our finances, and literally we were living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, not only paycheck to paycheck, I think we owed like almost 40 grand or something like that in taxes. Imagine if you owe IRS tax, that's a lot to owe. So you can see the stress I was going through. It was not a fun time. And I'm sure a lot of you understand what it means to be in debt. And the tax debt I'm talking about has nothing to do with the other debt that we're in. Okay, so that's just to paint a picture of how dire and how bad the situation is. So with that said, I just got to a point in my life where I said, oh no, something's got to change. Something has got to change. So with that, what I then did was I started studying. I started reading. I just started asking basic questions. I started asking, how do I get out of debt? How are people rich? What do they do? What do those millionaires out there do? What is everyone doing? Why is it that I'm in this paycheck to paycheck mode? Right? On the outside, it looked like we were doing well, but we were not financially. So it was really a hard struggle. So my husband and I, luckily for us, at that point, that particular year in time, we had in our local community, and thank goodness for being involved in different organizations. And in this case, it was our church, Agape House of Worship. We had what we called Financial Peace University. I'm sure how many of you have heard of that? So essentially, I signed up for it, and that's where I started learning the basics. And I just went for it. Literally within 2 years, I'm not kidding you. We aggressively got out of car loans. Tax debt was paid for completely. We got out of so much debt that in 2 years, I was shocked we did it, just because we just made a decision, started applying certain techniques, got out of debt. And once we got out of debt, in the last 5 years, all we're doing now is just trying to invest and increase and build wealth. So today I'm going to talk about how you can do that. But before I do that, one thing I do want to highlight is, what is my mission, my personal mission? I plan and I pray that by the time I take my last breath on this earth, my goal is to have helped 1 million women at a minimum achieve financial freedom. Do you want to be one of those women? If you do, this is assuming that everyone here hasn't achieved it, but if you haven't, please put up your hands or say yes in the chat. Yes, I see you, JB. I don't know what your full name is, but thank you. I need you to put it in the chat that yes, you want to achieve financial freedom. I love it. Oh, I love this team right here. You guys are awesome. Great. So I'm going to move forward to the next aspect. So as part of my whole journey, remember I said I went and started doing research and started understanding how does money work? Well, it brought me to this next phase, which is the truth about money. I just needed to understand it. And I'm going to share that with you guys because I just thought this was very critical to know. And for you, it shifted my mindset about what money is. So the first thing was I realized quickly that money will leave you if you don't pay attention to it by telling it what to do. I'm going to say that again. Money is going to leave you. You will not have any money to keep if you don't pay attention to it. Okay? You got to tell money what to do. That was the first thing I learned, the truth about money. The other truth I learned was the sooner you start to save money, the better you'll be in the long run. So remember I said this was 7+ years ago. Where I am now, if I didn't start then, I won't be where I am today. Does that make sense financially? So it's never too late. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 80 years old, 85, you can still start until we all take our last breath. Keep saving. That's my own thing. And save for your future generation too. Why not, right? So start now. Don't let anyone make you think that it's too late. Start now. The other aspect I learned is that money can only multiply and grow faster if you invest it. So no matter how much you save, if you don't move that money at some point in time to start investing it, guess what's going to happen? Your money won't grow fast because there's something called inflation. And I'm not going to go into too many details, but essentially what that means is that things get more expensive. I'll give you an example. Rice, 10 years ago, how much it was versus what it is now, it's not the same money, the same dollar that you're going to use to buy it. It has increased. So that means that the money that you're sitting in your savings account, if it's not earning more money, that means that the value is reducing because what you could have bought with it today, in the future, you may not be able to buy it with that same amount. Does that make sense? And at the end of this, I'm going to take questions. So feel free to put your questions in the chat. I'm going to have Sister Stefania to help me monitor that and just track the questions. Is that okay, Sister Stefania? Awesome. Awesome. Hopefully you guys can see my screen here. The other point is that money will never grow if you don't save a portion of it. Money is a seed that should be planted for growth. So when you see money, if you hold a cash, if any of you have cash in front of you, when you see that cash, it is a seed. Always look at money as a seed. Don't look at it as though I think a lot of people worship money and think, wow, it's something huge. No, money is a seed. It's meant to be planted. So in other words, you gotta look at it from that viewpoint. Also, you can only become wealthy if you or achieve financial freedom when your mindset agrees to it. So a lot of people think that the rich are rich just because somebody maybe they were just lucky. But the truth is that it started out with what was in their head. You can only be rich based on where your mindset is. Wherever your mindset, if you feel as if you're going to achieve financial freedom and you decide it today, you will. Mark my words, you will. It may take time, but you will achieve it. But if you don't decide and you don't pay attention, it's your mindset that determines whether or not you get there. So my question for everyone is, are you going to make up your mind? Making up your mind is what will get you from A to B. All right? The other thing I learned about money is that if you don't learn how money works, you're never going to know how it works. It's never going to grow. So for all of you being in this place right now, like what you're learning is learning how money works. And I got to give you guys kudos for that. So that's really good. So you always want to learn, how does money work, right? And last 2 points, I always tell people that if you want to make more money, if you want to get more money, you got to add more value. One thing I've realized is that money chases value. If you are solving a problem, if you are adding value, they're going to pay you more. So sometimes you wonder, your boss, how come your boss is making more money compared to you? That's because that person has experience. They're adding more value to the company. That's why they are paying them more. In some cases, people start their businesses and all of a sudden it takes off and they become billionaires or millionaires because they know what the community or what the society is looking for. They solve the problem or added money, and people will chase them and pay them and say, how much can I pay you? I need this. So you got to remember that if you want to make more money, think about ways you can add value. That's the only way you can make way more than even what you're making now. So sometimes you can go take training, you can consider, upskilling, adding, improving your skills. You can consider going a different direction in your career, whatever it may be. Just look for something that will add more value. You can start a side business, or solve a problem. That is when money will chase you. You don't even need to chase money. They will chase you because you have that experience. All right? Amen to that. And lastly, the purpose of money at the end, I always tell people the purpose of money is simply to serve you. That's it. Money is here to serve you guys. We're not here to serve money. Please, can somebody put that in the chat? Money is here to serve me. I'm not here to serve money. This is a big shift because people don't realize it. A lot of people worship money. I'm like, no. Money should be the one. Money is doing you a favor. You need to employ money. Money should be your employee. You should be using money to make you money. Yes? If you guys agree with me, please put a yes in the chat. Thank you. So I'm going to move on. I'm going to pause for a minute. Any questions so far, Stefania? I know I said I'll wait till the end, but I just want to make sure before I move on to the next step that we don't have any questions on the truth about money.
So far, I haven't seen any question. Please, it's good information. Don't be shy. There's no stupid question. There's no silly question. Please put your question on the chat. All right. She's very talented and she knows what she's doing. So please put your question in.
And if you don't want to ask your question in the full chat, you can always just send a private message to Stefania or to TouchLink.
Awesome. Thank you, Wanu. Thank you, guys. All right. So I'm going to move on to, this is where I need everyone. If you don't have a notebook and a pen, then you're not taking this serious at all. If you don't have it, I'm going to give you a quick, good job, Stefania. I'm going to give everyone quick minute, even if it's on your computer open up notes. If you're on your phone, go to your notes. You all got to take notes because there are some things that are not on the screen, so you can't take picture that I'm just going to talk about, so you need to write it. All right. So I'm going to go on. So now the question I'm going to have everyone tell me, and I want you to say it in the chat, is after I describe where you are, the roadmap, the financial wealth roadmap, I want you to tell me where you think you are. And it's okay, don't be shy. This is a safe space. And I'll tell you guys where I am. But I'm going to describe it first. So what is the financial wealth roadmap? This is just a very, usually it's up to like 9, but I just put it in 3 main buckets, okay? So essentially, the first roadmap to assess yourself, you need to ask yourself, is called financial dependency. What does that mean? It means that's where a person is fully or substantially, meaning 90% or more, financially reliant on another person or entity, okay? So that's when you are fully relying on someone else or something else for your financial, let me restate it, on someone else, meaning someone, maybe like sometimes you have spouses that rely on their other spouse, right, to provide for the whole household, and one person is not working. So that's what I mean. Or maybe another spouse is making a lot of money, but the money that you're making, you can't live off it if you were not reliant on that person. So those would be examples. And usually the formula to know whether or not you are financially dependent on someone or something is when passive income, and people are going to ask me, what's passive income? Passive income just means that you don't have to work for the money. When passive income, is not or is less than expensive, you are financially dependent. So I'll give you an example. If today they cut your job cuts you off, or God forbid that relationship cuts you off, would you be able to survive on your own without money? Without working, excuse me. If the answer is no, then you are financially dependent. If the answer is yes, then you are financially independent. The goal for our discussion is to get all of us to the next one, which I'm going to describe, which is financial freedom and financial independence. So financial freedom and financial independence, which is the second one, is where a person has acquired enough savings, investment, and cash on hand to afford the lifestyle that you want. Meaning they've acquired all the savings, the cash on hand, everything. If you put it together, they can afford the lifestyle they want. And the formula for that is when your passive income, meaning, again, remember, passive income is money that you're not working for, income that's coming in without you having to go to a job and clock in and clock out, right? That money is coming in and you are able to pay off all your bills. That's financial freedom. How many of you want financial freedom? If you do, say amen. Yes, drop it in. It's gonna happen. All right, in the chat. Good job. So that's our goal. We want passive income, meaning our investment money or the cash that we save, we can live off it without having to physically, working will come optional in that case. Does that make sense? That is financial freedom, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. And it's easy to get to. I think people think it's a lot. It's going to take a lot. And when I say easy, I just mean easier. Let me just state that it's easier to get to than people think. So it is possible to achieve. And that's part of what I'm going to walk through today. Then lastly, financial abundance, of course, that's your Jeff Bezos, all those super billionaires, right? And yes, we can get there, but the first roadmap is we want to get to financial freedom. And that's what we're talking about today. All right. So next, I'm going to talk about financial freedom. There are 2 types. I put it in a bucket, in two buckets, and I'm going to explain what the difference is. So the thing is that a lot of people don't realize, but in some cases, they already have a little bit of financial freedom and they didn't know. So an example of 2 types of financial freedom is short-term financial freedom. What that means is that it's a finite number, meaning, I'll give you an example. A short-term financial freedom could be maybe in my savings account, I have enough expenses saved that can last me a year. So meaning I can go a year without worrying about working if I wanted to. Does that make sense? So it's short term, meaning it's not going to be forever. It's not infinity. So you can achieve that. So I'll give you an example of one of my friends who, very good friend of mine, actually a colleague turned friend. who started having serious like abuse in her marriage. And the abuse was so bad to the point where she decided to separate with this person. So while they were going through that, they were planning to buy a house. So because of that, I think they had saved, I'm not kidding you guys, they had saved like $200,000. Even me, I was like, hey, 200. Like, how did you get 200? And this was years ago. And what, till today, this, my friend, doesn't work. She's been living off that $200,000. That's still considered short term. And this was about 7, 8 years ago, by the way, that I'm talking about. It's still considered short term because at some point she's going to run out of that money. She can't, it's not sustainable for a lifetime. Does that make sense? She's going to run out of that money, but she's still financially free in that she doesn't have to work. So she's been able to go like 7, 8 years now, not having to work while she's been dealing with health and marriage issues or whatever the case may be. Does that make sense? A lot of people don't even have that. A lot of us don't even have 1,000 in our account. Some people don't even have $100. And I'm not using this to down you. I'm just saying I've been there. I understand. And that's part of why we're taking this, we're doing this today. We're speaking to everyone so we can change our mindset. So anyway, that's just an example. Now, long term, this is where you have machines pretty much like investments, spitting out money every month. And you just take that money and you be paying your bills forever. That's it. You set it up to a point where all of your investment vehicles, right, it's just spitting out money every month, and you use that money to pay for all your expenses. So that is more long term. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, I'm going to move on to the next slide. So what are the steps to attaining financial freedom? The first step, and I want everyone, and all of us can do it today, right now. If you want, you can all do it today, is to decide if you want financial freedom. And I know it sounds very simple, but it's actually very critical. A lot of people wish that they have it, they dream for it, but they don't decide. Deciding just means that you are saying, you know what, I want this, and I'm going to do everything in my power to achieve it, and I'll start paying attention to it. Yes, yes? Do you guys understand? So that's the first thing, and we can all do it today. We can check this first step off. So if you guys have checked off, if you've decided, if it's true that you've decided that you want financial freedom, can you guys put in the chat, yes, check step 1, done. That's what I just want, step 1, done. Let's just all decide. If you are with me, put in the chat, step 1, done. Sister Stephanie, are they doing it? Because I can't see all the chats right now. I'm assuming, give me a thumbs up, yeah?
Yes.
Good. I love this audience. You guys are awesome. Great. That's the first step. It's very simple. You've done it. We are going to move on to step 2. Good job, guys. And as we go through this, there are some things that you guys can be doing as we're talking that you can do immediately on this call. You don't have to wait. So we can get this going. All right. Step 2, so attaining financial freedom. This is where I need your notes and your paper. Everybody, we're going to walk through this one. We need to decide what is our financial freedom number. It may not be as bad as you think. Okay? So the way you determine your financial freedom number, and by the time we're all done from this call, I want you guys to have your financial freedom number, please. Is you take all your expenses, how much? Think about it. There are 2 ways to go about it, but I take the expense route. Some people use the income, but I like the expense because it's just easier to get to the number. You take all your expenses right now, and I'm going to give an example. Let's say your rent, your utilities, all your bills, and any extra, bills out there that you have. You take all of that it costs you every month, right? And you take that number. When you take that number, the next thing I want you to add to it is any number, between, like, let's say you have a desired expense. Like for me, I love to travel with my family. So let's say my total expense is 3,000. Using the example on the screen here, it's 3,000. I like to travel, and I know that in the next 5 years, I want to get myself a new car. So I'll add that to it. Does that make sense? So in this case, I want to travel. I'm going to save maybe 200 or 300 per month towards that. I want to buy a new car in another 2 to 3 years. I'm going to add that. So that extra desire. So I'll add it on. So it doesn't come up as a surprise. So I'll take 3,000 plus another $1,000, right? So that's 4,000. Then I always add a buffer of 1,000. Why do you need your buffer? Things change. There may be situations where you may need to move. Maybe you guys have, you have more kids, right? Things change where maybe expenses will go up. You want to build a buffer in there to capture that, so things don't surprise you. So when you take those three numbers in this example, as you can see, I came up with 5,000. My number that I need per month, that for my investment to be spitting out every month so I can be financially free, is $5,000. Do you guys get the picture here? I'm gonna pause for a minute. I want everyone to think about roughly what your number is. You should be able to think about what your number is. Okay? All right. I'm gonna move on.
There's a question in the chat.
There's a question.
Someone said, how do we get to know where to do long-term investment that keeps paying through life?
Don't worry, we're getting there. You're ahead of my steps. People are excited. I love this. That's another step. Don't worry, we're going to get there. I'm going to tell you. Okay? Very good question. All right. So now that you guys have gotten your financial number, I'm going to move on. So the next step, the third step, I want you to write this, is you need to now come up with your financial goals. So one of your goals, you already did that. That was step 2. You got your financial number. But that financial number, for you to get that 5K per month, using my example, you need to have goals. And I gave examples of how your goals should look like. And some of you can start doing that right now. You don't need to wait until after this call to start thinking about your goals. Okay? So for example, I bet you a lot of you this year, you didn't define a savings goal. I'm not saying everyone, but most of us did not. Every year, you should always have a savings goal. The goal should be, I'm going to have $10,000 saved. I'm going to have $25,000 saved. And each account that you have must have a purpose. You cannot have a goal without a purpose. That savings account needs to be towards something, right? So you want to define your goal. This year, I'm going to save $1,000 for emergency. I'm going to pay off my debt, right? And not only am I going to pay off, I want to pay off $5,000 in debt. This is how much I'm going to be putting towards it extra. It needs to be that specific. If you don't have goals, I promise you, you're not going to have. It's kind of like you are driving somewhere, you don't know where you're going, but you don't have a path there. Right? Having a goal in terms of where you want to go and the steps to get there is very, very critical. So you must have a goal. If you want to take this serious, you gotta pay attention to it. Remember I said, the truth about money is this. If you don't pay attention to it, money is gonna leave you. You gotta have goals. Does that make sense so far? So make sure you have your goals. I gave examples here. So another goal could be, I want to buy 2 rental properties that will be giving me cash flow of $2,000 or $1,000 per month. A goal could be, I want to start investing $100 per month into an index fund. A goal, I don't know what that goal is because everybody's number is different. Everyone's approach is different. Everyone's strategy is going to be different. But you got to start defining, at least start with savings account. What are you going to put there? Let's start with that basic one. All right. So that's it. This is you must have your financial goals. The next step, your fourth step, is you must acquire financial knowledge or get a financial coach/advisor. Okay, this one is extremely critical. You see, if you cannot afford to get a financial coach or advisor, at least you need to start reading up on how best. I know someone had asked me, where should I invest my money? That's a good question. It's a perfect question. Let's go and put it into YouTube. Let's look for books around where to invest. What are good investments for long-term? Retirement. Where should I invest? That's what I would expect after this event, for you guys to go and do your homework and start asking yourselves, what books should I read? And if you don't know what books you should read, I gave a couple of examples here. Rich Dad Poor Dad, read it. It's a very fantastic book. If you don't like reading, it's okay. Me, I don't usually like flipping pages. What I do is audio. It's easy. Sometimes in the morning when I wake up after I've done my devotion, I'm listening to a book. Sometimes while you are taking a shower, I'll be listening to it. You are learning. It's seeds going into your head. You get my point? So do that.
There's a question. Sorry.
No problem. Go ahead.
I am a single mom with 2 kids, and my income barely pay my bills after we left my husband. How can I be financial free?
Absolutely. And that is the challenge for a lot of us. A lot of times we have, we have a situation where we're living paycheck to paycheck. So the first question, again, I have to talk to this person, one-on-one, because everybody's situation is different in terms of the strategy to get them to financial freedom. But a lot of times, one thing I would say is, can you reduce your expenses? The answer is no. And the other thing I always tell people is, consider, getting help in terms of what the government have out, what they have out there, whether with housing or with food. That helps to kind of reduce your expenses as well, right? Then the other thing I will also say is side gigs. Some people are very good in braiding. They are good in making pastries and cookies, and they are good in sewing. They are good in cleaning. Start a side gig on the weekend. And if you don't feel like you have that any talent per se, quote unquote, right? That you can start your own business. Well, Uber Eats is there, Lyft is there. You can do that if you have a car. That can bring you easily $200 or more on a weekend, easily. And then you can get that and start adding it to your savings account. Whatever you make from that amount, you use it to either pay off your debt or add it to your savings account. Hopefully that answers the question. Again, I don't know the person's situation. I would need to talk to them and ask more questions to come up with a strategy. So again, financial coach, you guys, I'm a financial coach. If you really have more questions and you're interested in having someone, help you, I would definitely, I'm not taking a lot of people. I only have very, very few spots, but I can help in that regard as well. But if not, there are other financial coaches online. Look for them. Look for someone you're comfortable with, someone you're comfortable divulging your financials with and sharing that. And then someone that you know will lead you in the right path. But consider getting a financial advisor or a financial coach, and they will direct you in how to get to financial freedom. All right. Next step. The fifth step is you want to save your first $1,000. So I know I've spoken about a lot of things, but one of the first steps, and this should be part of your goals. So remember I said you guys should write your goals? This should be one of them. I just gave you one of your goals. You need to save your first $1,000. I always tell people, if you cannot save your first $1,000, I don't know how you're going to get to financial freedom. Even if it takes you 2 years, even if it's $25 you can only put per month, put something. I don't care what it is. Just start saving towards your first $1,000. And that $1,000 is what we are going to call emergency fund. Does this make sense to everyone? Emergency fund means this. If, God forbid, your car breaks down, you take money from here. I don't want you guys using credit cards, right? Because we are not all about credit cards. We want to get out of debt, right? So this is going to be like your credit card. This $1,000 is like your credit card. You will use it for that, your emergency fund. Or God forbid, in your let's say your child falls sick and you got to take your child to the hospital and now you have a bill. This is where you take that money out of. But you got to replenish it, okay? So consider this your own personal credit card, if that makes sense. You must have at least $1,000 saved. And I always tell people, if you want to increase it to up to $2,500, do that. But a minimum $1,000 saved in your regular traditional account. Okay, so if everyone can please put that as part of their goal before the end of, as part of their goals, either through the end of the year or next year, to have their first $1,000, please, can you put it there? Even if it's $10 you're putting per month, if it's $25, $50, it's $100, whatever you can afford, just start putting it to the side. Open a different savings account that you can save it towards. Okay. Then once you do that, you have your emergency fund. After you've done that, then that's when I want you to start paying off your debt, which is the next step. The next step is pay off consumer. And notice I said consumer debt because I know people have mortgages. Don't worry about mortgage for now. It will take a lot of years to get out of mortgage. But for now, let's at least get rid of all our consumer debt. What are they? They could be taxes, they're car loans, payday loans, where maybe you borrowed money from your friend. Pay all these people back so nobody's embarrassing you. Does that make sense? So pay off your credit cards. And I say if you have school loans, 10,000 or less, pay it off. I consider a consumer. If it's more than that, then I understand if you can apply a long-term approach to paying it off. But for now, It's 10,000 on this. Let's try and pay it off as soon as possible. Focus on paying it off. So how do you do that? I'm going to tell you what I did that worked for me to get out of debt. So I always tell people, if you can find, either by reducing expenses or starting a side hustle, if you can find anywhere from $150 to $200 or even $250 extra per month. Per month, though, I'm not saying per week. Because I think you can do Uber Eats and make that money per week, by the way. But at a minimum per month, if you can find this, just put it towards your debt. Just start paying it off. So I gave an example. Let's say you have 3 credit cards, right? First credit card number 1 has $1,000 on it. Credit card number 2 has $2,000 on it. Credit card number 3 has $3,500 on it. So for credit card number 1, let's say your monthly payment is $25 and you are able to get an extra $200 maybe from your side gig or extra, you were able to reduce your expense. Now you have this $200 coming from your income, or you get a new job where you got paid more, which is another way to increase your money. Go find a new job, they'll pay you more so that you can get the extra $200, right? You get that new job, you get that $200, you apply to that $25. So every month you'll be paying $225 until you pay off that amount. When you pay off that first credit card, that $1,000 is paid off. You take that $225, right? And then you go to credit card number 2, which is $2,000, right? This credit card number 2, that you have $2,000. And that credit card number 2 is already $50 per month, right? Your minimum payment. You take that $225 that you were paying on credit card number 1, after you paid it off, and you're going to apply it to credit card number 2. So when you take that $50 for $225, you have $275. And that's how you quickly, it's called the snowball method. That's how you quickly pay off your credit card. It starts to add up very quickly. Then you pay off the second one. Then the third one, you do the same thing. You take the $275, you add it to the minimum, and you'll be paying that full balance. Does that make sense? Any question? Because sometimes it confuses folks. I want to make sure it's clear. Does that make sense? Are they saying yes? I can't really see the chat. Yes. Okay, awesome. Great. Then, after you've done all this, and you're paying your monthly, you're paying your debt off. Now, the one question I always get is, oh, do I have to pay off all my debt before I start investing? Or before I start saving? This is my own approach. No. I always tell people you can do both at the same time. You just got to work with your financial coach or advisor, or figure it out yourself where you allocate, as long as you pay the minimum of $200 in debt, whatever extra, you can be putting it towards your savings. So this takes us to the next step, which is your safety account. So you remember you have your emergency fund for $1,000. You started paying off your debt, right? You've already achieved that $1,000. Now you moved on to your debt. The next piece you need to start building out as you're paying off your debt is your safety fund. What does safety fund mean? Safety fund essentially is where, think of it as your short-term financial freedom. Remember how I explained that short-term financial freedom is where you have that lump of cash sometimes that if God forbid you lose your job or anything happens, you have that money to fall back on. But it's just for a short term, it's not forever. That's all this is. I always tell people if you can start with 3 months, start with 3 months in your savings account. But I tell folks if you can save up to 12 months in that account, save it. So the one thing I want everyone to do, another goal I want you to have, is to open a high yield savings account. High yield savings account. Okay. So what a high yield savings account is that it's an online account that gives you more money than your traditional account. They give you more rates, like they add more interest compared to your traditional account. So traditional account gives you 0.001%, but a high yield will give you up to 0.5%. So you get more. So instead of on $100, instead of getting 1 cent, you get 5 cents or something like that, right? That's all it is. That's the difference. So you're just getting more, And when I say 1 cent, sometimes it's not even up to that. It's 0.001 cents, less than a cent, in your traditional account. But for high yield savings account, you're getting up to 5 cents, and it adds up. So if you have more money there, that's just on $100. So if you have 1,000, it has gone to $5. If you have 10,000, it's already $50. That's how you are making more money, and that $50 can do a lot. It can buy groceries for somebody. So open a high yield savings account and start putting, once you calculate your expenses per month, start with 3 months as your first goal. Then once you get to 3 months, increase it to 6 months, then increase it to 12 months. Just try and build that out if you can, while you're also paying down your loans. Any questions?
Okay. There's a question. What do you say to those who were overwhelmed and are depressed by the financial burden?
This is what I'll tell you. If you're feeling overwhelmed and depressed, I promise you that is natural. That is natural. But what I will say is that there is a way out. There's a way out. The only reason a lot of people feel depressed is because they don't know the way out. Does that make sense? So there's a way out. As long as you are willing. You remember step 1, I said decide. That's how you change your mindset so you're not depressed. Once you decide and you're like, you know what? I'm going to be financially free and I need to talk to someone about this and I need to come up with a plan to get out of it. And I'm going to do what it takes to get out of it. You're going to be out of it. So this is me telling you that don't lose hope. Don't feel depressed. It's the lie of the enemy to try and make you think that there's no way out. And it is a lie. There is a way out and there's always a strategy. All right. So whomever that person is, if they want to talk to me offline, send your information to Stefania and let me know that you're the one that asked the question and we can talk more offline if need be. Okay. All right. So hopefully everyone understand that after they are done doing all the savings, at some point we want you guys to start building your safety account. And again, don't feel bad if it's low. It's okay. If you guys want to start with $5, let's start with $5 in savings. Start with $5. After this, if you don't have anything in savings, but you're able to find $5, so just throw it in a savings account. You've done well. You are one step ahead than where you were before. I just need us, even if it's $5 you're putting every month, I just need you to start putting something in your savings account. I promise you it adds up quickly. Okay? All right. So the next step is step number 8. Once you are done doing all of that and you've already achieved your 12 months or you've paid off your debt, I always tell people before you start investing, try as much as possible to get out of debt because it just makes sense. That way, it's faster because when you put more money in investment, it makes you more money faster. And there's no need for you to owe people. People are chasing you and embarrassing you, right? When you can just pay that off and then focus fully on building out your investment, your investment. So I know someone had asked earlier, what do I invest in? What should I do? And this is where the answer is. There are different things you can do. Different things. And this is why, again, you need a financial coach or someone to help walk you through. But I'll give some examples on some of the things you can do in this event. So part of what you want to do is ask yourself, what are even the different types of investments out there? Real estate is one, but a lot of times it's a lot of money for people to invest in. So I shy away from recommending that as your first investment. There's stocks that you can buy. They call them dividend stocks. And this one is easy to do. I'll give you an example. I started with AT&T. AT&T, again, this is not, you guys do your due diligence before you invest in this. So don't say, Dolapo told you to go and invest, and if you lose your money, you'll come and sue me. Me, I'm just saying what I did, though. This is what I did. So let me clarify. Let me put disclaimer. I don't recommend. I tell people to do their homework and see that this is a stock they want to invest in, then go invest in it. But with that said, I'm going to share a couple of dividend, stocks that I'm in, and this is how you can get financially free. I'm going to break it down into small pieces so it's not too overwhelming for everybody. So what I did was I said, you know what? I have a cell phone bill, right? My cell phone bill, because of my work and everything, cost me, not everybody's cell phone bill is this much, but it cost me like $100, right? A month because I use a lot of data I needed for work. So that $100, I asked myself, I said, okay, I want to look for dividend stocks, not just any stock, but they have to be dividend. Dividend is D-I-V-I-D-E-N-D. You can YouTube it and read about it. What are the dividend stocks that are out there? Meaning companies that are not necessarily, their stock don't grow that fast. So because of that, they pay you money for owning their stock. In other words, they're paying you because, I just want you guys to understand what I'm trying to say. Someone is paying you because you bought their stock. They're just giving you money every month. Sometimes it's every quarter, sometimes it's every month. Just saying, take another $10, take another $5. So that's what dividend is essentially. So they pay you that money, and you want to get to a point where you own enough that the money that they're giving you for free, I use the word free for right now, every month adds up to that $130 or $100, however much your bill is. Do you know that you just gained financial freedom from your cell phone bill? I know it sounds small, but that's how you can start with that. You don't have to start with the big financial freedom. How about we start with just your phone bill? And after you do phone bill, then we can go to maybe your eating expenses, right? So Verizon is a dividend company, and AT&T is a dividend company. Coca-Cola is a dividend paying company. If you buy stocks in them and you keep adding, they are giving you all these dividends every month. Guess how much you are getting for free every month? And you can take that money out of your account and pay your bills, literally. You can start getting financially free just from simple small bills. Why don't we start that way? So that's one option for someone who was asking me. Dividend stocks are a good option, good way to go. And I think AT&T stock is only like $26 as of yesterday or something, or as of today, if I remember. So these are just examples. Index funds too are good. Index funds, you may need a lot of money, because if you want to make more money, you kind of need more money to put in there. But you can also start. You don't need, start with $100. Start with something. Vanguard is one company you can go to, vanguard.com. TD Ameritrade.com. Fidelity.com. And you can just open an index fund. As long as it's like the fees are not high, you can invest in it. I know it's complicated. I can't go into all that detail now, but if you have questions or if someone is interested, I can always have a discussion with you on how you can open that account and invest in it. But that's another option for you to go and invest and let's start moving towards financial freedom, y'all. Okay. Airbnb. A lot of people buy Airbnb, properties and just do property, and they are making a killing out there, right? And also land. Some people just buy land. Like you can get land from some of these states that maybe was foreclosed on or whatever, or somebody had back taxes, didn't pay on it, and you can buy it for a cheap amount. And in the future, you just never know. Somebody could come and say they want to buy it from you for millions. Of course, that one is, you can just invest in land. It doesn't take a lot, depending on where you buy it. Some land you can buy for $8,000, $2,000, $3,000, depending on the state. It doesn't have to be in the state you are living in. Just do your research. There are different options out there. Just start with something.
Okay.
Any questions?
Dolapo, it's not a question, but I just want to inform everybody on the group chat or on YouTube watching us that Touchland is about to sponsor 2 people to have a coach, a financial coach. So just go to the website, Touchland, www.touchland.org, and then sign up for it. So you might be the lucky winner. But on a personal question,
so just to clarify, so we have 2 spots open for people. So the first 2 people that email us at info@touchlink.org, inquiring or for them to have a coach, they could be entered into winning the free session with you. But they also do need to meet the financial need requirement. So they do need to meet the financial need requirement and also being part of the TouchLink family.
Wow. Please, you guys, can you give a clap emoticon in the chat? I mean, seriously, TouchLink. It is, God bless you guys, because it's not easy to get a financial coach. It is not cheap. So we appreciate you. Thank you. Some people's lives will change.
May I say something before?
Sure, go ahead, Anna.
I just wanted to say something because I have to go, but I want to encourage you, ladies. I hired Dolapo, I want to say last year, and I'm an independent contractor, which means I'm self-employed. If I don't work, I don't get paid. And I was just sharing that I have my emergency fund. I have my high index account. I have paid off my truck. And At first I was like, I don't think this is going to work for me and how I'm going to do it. I mean, like you start learning different things that you can cut. So I just want you to be encouraged, whoever you are that put something in the chat. I want you to be encouraged because there's a plan for you, but you have to like really want to do it. So that's all I wanted to say.
Oh,
Can
Hannah,
I add to that also? Can I add? It's a testimony of what Dolapo does. I believe Dolapo, like a year, no, shortly before the pandemic, like 2019, Dolapo started coaching me. Ever since she started, I've paid up, not all of them, but most of my bills and most of my debts. I only have one left that know that by the grace of God, early next year will be gone. Not only that, I have in the savings account that she recommended now an amount that if they wake me up, I would think I've never in my life put such an amount in the, aside that you can use for investment. So really what she's saying is what she does. So it's just a testimony that really, if I were you, I would take advantage of that opportunity of her being a coach. She's one of the best in town.
I'm so honored. Thank you guys. I promise I did not plan them. They just said it from their heart. Thank you. I love you guys. And these two have been one of my favorite coaches. So thank you guys. They listen. When I say do this, they do it. They don't argue, they just do it. That's why you see results. So thank you guys for that. So I'm gonna quickly, because I know we're running out of time.
There's a question.
Okay.
ETF good? It is good to save or reinvest your dividend. Asked by Joy.
Reinvest. I'm all about the DRIP. It's called Dividend Reinvestment Program, DRIP. And I said DRIP, so let me clarify what that means. DRIP is called Dividend Reinvestment Program. So always reinvest it, because guess what? It's just buying you more. That means you're going to make more dividends on it. Get it? The bigger the bucket, the more dividend you're going to make. So just always reinvest it until you get to a point where you feel you need to use it, then use it. In the meantime, as long as you have a job and you're still working, just let it keep reinvesting till you get to the point where it can pay off all your bills or some of your bills. All right. All right, that's it. Do you guys have any more questions? You guys got this?
Dolapo, I have a question. When you say emergency fund and saving account, so the emergency, do you combine both, or you have $1,000 somewhere and you have $15,000 somewhere else, or $1 million somewhere else? Is that, or you just use one?
No. So that's a very good question. Your emergency fund, you can use your regular Bank of America, Wells Fargo for it, the $1,000, but do not combine it with your safety account. Must be in a high yield savings account. And your high yield savings account, one thing I forgot to mention is that you can use it to also achieve short-term goals. So like, for example, recently we wanted to buy a house. So not only do I have my safety account, I open another high yield to save for my house, down payment for my home. I know I want to buy a car in the next, by God's grace, in the next 2 or 3 years or whatever the case may be. After that, saving towards that. Does that make sense? So I use my high yield savings because it's giving me a lot of money. Like at the end of the year, depending on how much you have, you can make 300, 400, 1,000. You can make money in it, right? Instead of it just sitting there and making 0.0001%. So make sure you separate that. And an emergency fund, the one thing I want to tell you guys, even if you're paying off your debt and everything, the moment you use your emergency fund, pause, rebuild your emergency fund back. You must always prioritize that, because again, remember I said it's going to be like your credit card, because I don't want you guys using your credit card to buy stuff. If you have an emergency, you use that 1,000, and that's the only account you go to. You do not touch your savings account. Okay?
Very good. Also, people, please be aware to register to www.eventbrite.com. All right. The rally and work for domestic violence, and get your ticket, please.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me just
Please, I have a
quickly
question.
finalize. Okay, go ahead.
I have a quick
Sorry.
question. I'm sorry, before you finalize. Thank you so much. I also want to lend my voice to the awesome job my dear sister Dolapo, the success factor, is doing. I opened a high yield savings account, and yes, I'm seeing the savings rolling in. And I've been getting dividends since January, when I was like, you know what, let me just go for this. I have a quick
Wow.
question for you. I know a lot of people, we've been hearing a lot about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and everything. What do you have to say? Because people are thinking, this time last year, one Ethereum, one Bitcoin was 18,000. Now it's worth 54,000. And a few days ago, it was 31,000. What do you have to say? What do we do? What do we do?
What do you do? That is the
Yes.
question of the day. Everybody's Bitcoin is the latest and greatest. Everyone wants to get into it. The first question I'm going to ask you, do you understand it? If you don't
No.
understand, stay away for now. I'm not saying Bitcoin is not something you should consider in the future, but it's too volatile. For our audience right now, we need to focus on getting to financial freedom. If you invest in something that is so volatile, you can lose all your money. And it's not going to be me you'll come to, because me, I'm not asking you to go and do Bitcoin. Only invest in Bitcoin if you have extra money to play with. After you've already done all the steps I've asked you to do, you have your money, you are saving and everything. You just have a few, maybe $200 here, or whatever. You want to play with Bitcoin. As long as you are willing to lose that money, please, you can more than feel free. But that's after you've done everything. If you don't have $1,000 saved, you don't have your 3 to 12 months of safety account saved, you are not out of debt, do not touch Bitcoin. Please. Let's get all these things done. Let this machine start making us money. Remember, we're trying to use money to make money. Let's start setting that up. After that, when you now have extra and everything, you want to buy Bitcoin, you have extra $100, you want to buy Bitcoin, then do that. But that's after. But a lot of people, because they want to make quick money, they rush and start putting their money there, and they now start crying when they lose it. Why are you crying? You didn't do your homework. So my advice to everyone here, please just follow these steps. If you need additional information on what to invest in, that's fine. But I think you have more than enough to get you going. First of all, I need you to focus on building your savings account. When you get there, then we can be talking about moving into investing. And maybe the next session we have, I'll focus more on investments and the options people have. I can do a more deep dive. But for now, let's just start saving. Let's get emergency fund going. Let's get out of debt. Let's build our safety fund, our short-term financial freedom. Let's focus on that. Then we'll shift to long-term. Okay.
Thank
All right.
you.
Any other questions? Okay. So I'm just going to wrap up. One thing I did say before I came to this event, it dropped in my heart to give 5 free 30-minute consulting calls, 5 of them. So it's going to be on a first come, first serve basis. And the way it's going to work, I'm going to have Sister Stefania put my email in the chat, but it's also on the screen here. It's Dolapo, OMODOLAPO@gmail.com. Again, OMODOLAPO@gmail.com. I want you to send me, again, it's going to be the first 5 people. So if you don't hear from me, it means I didn't select you. So I apologize. It's going to be first come, first serve. And I want you to send me an email with your name, your available times, because I'm going to do this coming Saturday from 10 to 12. I've already booked it just for TouchLink members to answer any questions for 5 people between 10 and 12 for 30 minutes. Choose a time and then send me that note, and I'll tell you, tell me what your available times are. Don't just give me one, maybe give me 2 or 3 options so that way I can manage the schedule. But this coming Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12, if you can send it to me by end of day tomorrow, I will send you an invite, and I can have a 30-minute session where you can ask me all the questions you want for free. So if you are interested, let me know.
All right, everyone. The email is on the chat box, omodolapo@gmail.com. And we're not gonna end, right, Sister Dolapo, before we ask. I know we talked about money. Money is a seed. and TouchLink touch a lot of life, help
Absolutely.
a lot of people. Thank you for such an amazing, amazing job. Even me in the financial world, I always learn something from you every time you speak, and whatever's come from your mouth are golden, especially
Oh,
for women. We want
thank
to
you.
be millionaire, we want to be financial, have that financial stability. And thank you, and I thank God for your life, for
Thank
your
you.
intelligence, and thank you so much. So my dear friend, my dear people, we're here tonight. I would suggest you to support TouchLink, and by quickly go to the website and donate, so because whatever you can, a care packet, it's $60. So if you can give $60, you give whatever you can give. Our goal is 40,000 this year. So you go to www.touchlink.org and plant that seed, because as you
Absolutely.
become a millionaire, you cannot have your hand closed. You have to be a giver as well, right, Dolapo?
Absolutely. And you know what? Right here live, I'm just gonna put it out there. DY, I got you. I'm committing to put a seed. So I'm gonna do that right now as well. So I
Thank you
am
so
taking
much.
lead on it. Thank you for
Everybody,
having
let's
me.
clap for Dolapo. Thank you so much, Dolapo.
Thank
Thank you. Awesome,
I'm
awesome. Every
honored.
time, like Stefania said, every time you speak, you always add value. You always add value to lives. We really appreciate you. And we will not stop calling you. TouchLink is your home.
That's right.
Love
Every
you.
time
That's
we'll be
right.
calling you.
This is
We
family
love
for
you. We
me.
appreciate you.
Thank you,
Stefania,
Ma.
thank you so much. Everybody, thank you for joining tonight. I really love and appreciate you. I'm sorry I can't show my face, but you see my face on Saturday. I'm prepping up for Saturday. Thank
Woohoo!
you. Love you all. So join